my straightener still on your side?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna straighten this back part later.
残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になれ
What you call it?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, like
Let's hear it. Which one?
青い風が今胸のドアを叩いても私だけをただ見つめて微笑んでるあなたそっと触れるもの求めることに夢中で目さえまだ知らない痛いけな瞳だけどいつか気づくでしょうその背中には遥か未来目指すための羽があること残酷な天使の手で窓辺からやがて飛び立つほとばしる熱いパトスで思い出を裏切るならこの空を抱いて輝く少年よ神話になれ
Oh man,
Love it.
That by far is
The best
is
thing
the
that we've
coolest
seen.
thing. Yeah, no, that's super fire. This is the Celebrity
Beef.
podcast, and
What?
shout out to anybody watching on YouTube. This is the first time we've done this in
Yeah.
a video setting, and so a couple things to take note of. The
Audio.
audio could
Let's
get a
talk
little
about it.
echoey. We probably put in like 90 minutes at least.
Just today.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, we've parted ways with, some...
The former folks.
Thank you. I didn't know how to say that.
That's all good.
And so, with that being said, we have ordered a couple expensive, nice mics that we're going to use, but they're on back order, so there's nothing we can do. So, in the meantime, we have our USB ones, and they seem to be doing the job, but there might be a little feedback.
Yeah, it might get a little echoey. I think we've worked out most of the kinks on that, but at
crossed.
the same time, we don't know what's going to happen. But
We're not technology.
we are not technology. We're not AI robots. But thanks for rocking with us. You can find me at Merrill Productions on Instagram, as well as at Merrill Product One on Twitter. And where can they find you?
They can only find me on Instagram because Twitter confuses the shit out of me, and I don't get it.
You on Facebook, bro? I can throw that government out there.
Don't throw my government out there. For those of you who know who I am, you can finally, you can add me on Facebook. That's fine. But if you don't know my real name, please don't add me. And don't sleuth. But you can find me on Instagram at ANWEEZYY and Weezy, or you can honestly just go to his page and I'm tagged somewhere in that shit. So
yeah.
Do the lazy way.
She's out there. So this is a week where we're not gonna do a beef, but we're doing topics. So every other week we're just doing kind of topical things.
And then we'll do a bigger beef
and
together.
we'll collaborate on some beefs going forward. But we had a lot of good stuff this week. You really pulled some stuff out the vault.
Thank you.
Real quick, so my best thing I saw this week was that. By far, hands down.
Which one?
With the King of the Hill thing.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah,
I thought you would have said American Ninja Warrior.
Oh, that was fire too.
Do you have that one pulled up?
I do, but I like that one a little more because that's just, I don't know, I can watch it like 5 more times.
So, a couple of weeks ago, you had shown me a rap of King of the Hill. This guy, this super talented guy on YouTube. Who does these anime raps?
I'm swinging my feet like a little kid.
You enjoying it?
Yeah,
so we got a bar table and then we got bar stools and I don't think he's used to not touching the floor. I'm pretty used to not touching the floor.
Do you swing your feet too?
So I do swing my feet. And I also sit on my legs a lot.
Gotcha.
But
okay, sorry.
I sent that Hank of the Hill thing to you because I thought that you would really enjoy it since we're kind of on that kick anyways.
Yeah.
And King of the Hill is probably one of our favorites.
King of the Hill is awesome. They need to bring that back.
It used to be on Cartoon Network at 6 in the morning, so I'd watch it before getting ready for work.
Oh, was it?
It was.
I remember that.
Yeah, and then it's just not on there anymore, and it's really depressing. And I want it to go onto Netflix or something, or I want them to redo a reboot. But
I think they tried to have Mike Judge. He was the dude who did the original. I don't think he wants to do it.
I think he wanted to do it. I just think that there were so many stipulations. They just didn't know how to bring it back from the dead.
Yeah, because you probably had to age the characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't say you could do it.
I don't know they could pick up. Anyways, so that was the best thing you saw.
It was by far. I mean, because I love animes and I love King of the Hill and the way and it's just the I can't speak obviously. just the amount of detail they put into it. Like you said, the little cuts on the beat.
Absolutely.
Like it was just so much.
And it had that anime flair to it, so you could see it that way. But also, I mean, it took time to do all of those different scenes on there. Just because, I mean, it's a huge, huge collection of episodes.
Well, and that's the thing. They had to dig through the craze. That's why I just respect the work that went into it. So that definitely is the best thing I saw this week. So we're gonna kick things off.
What about my best thing that I saw this week?
I was moving into that with this.
Okay, so this is the best thing I saw this week. But before we get there, because this is a video, I want to talk about the show that we've been watching lately.
I was gonna do that afterwards, but okay.
No.
Hey, you're welcome. Roll it out.
Okay. So the show that we've been watching lately, and I'm really frustrated because I told him like several weeks ago that I was gonna watch it.
Okay.
And
so,
he said, "Okay, let's watch it," and he didn't. So I started watching it myself. So it's The Boys on Amazon Prime.
Well, what I do is shows, right? What I do is shows is I go, hey, do you want to watch this with me right now?
Sandwich.
Right, but I let you know, I go, I'm going to watch this right now. If you don't want to watch it right now, we'll go watch something different, but I will watch it later. I never got that with The Boys. It was just, hey, I'm going to watch this, and then you're 3 episodes deep. And you tried to play me because when the first episode came, well, you didn't tell me you were 3. I didn't figure that out until I saw that it started when I hit play at episode 3, and I'm like, okay, so she's already way deep into this. So, say all I had to say. Next time, just tell me, haven't watched this, do you want to watch it with me?
So basically, it's about superheroes if they were real. So it kind of focuses on this girl from Iowa. Her name's Starbright. Starbright. And she gets inducted into this thing called the Seven, which is, basically the equivalent of a Justice League or the Avengers kind of thing. And she's seeing all of these heroes that she grew accustomed to, that she's seen through her childhood, that she admires, be pieces of trash because...
Yeah, they're garbage humans.
I mean,
or
superhumans.
Yeah.
I mean, they indulge in terrible things. They do terrible things. And are we going to talk about the spoiler that we're going to give?
Well, yeah, I do. But I want to talk about that clip of the guy who was Ant-Man running. And so he's Flash. No. I'm talking about something different. Oh. So they have this club where they all go hang out at, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they have like an Ant-Man type character.
It's like a sexual club where all the superheroes can indulge in their fantasies without being caught.
So there's all these naked ladies all but and this like Ant-Man type dude runs
across the table. And
he dives into a girl's cooch. And it was, I didn't know what to do.
He didn't understand.
I don't even know what to make of this right now. But anyway, so the series starts off with the Seven's version of Flash. And I think Justice League was a way more accurate. You said that we were watching. That's perfect.
No, and
I think about the characters like Aquaman and...
Yeah, but then it also throws like Captain America in there, which I think is like technically they're Superman.
Yeah, he's Superman,
right?
For sure. But so this dude, you start to follow this character. I don't even know where he comes in at. Like they just start following him for whatever reason. There was really no.
So he actually opens up. So it's the lead guy. It's actually Jack Quaid, which is
Dennis
Quaid's son and Meg Ryan's son.
He's doing a real good job.
Real fucks me up.
I feel old though because I don't want to know kids' generational or like stars.
But he's your age though. Like he's like 35.
Because I know Meg Ryan is not personally, but I know that.
Right.
So this is a weird thing.
So he's at his store and it opens up with him, and he is kind of like
because he's the main character.
He's very timid, and he wants to ask his boss for a raise, but doesn't because his boss kind of shuts him down. And his girlfriend, is kind of encouraging him to do better, so that way they can move in together. And
it's really sweet because like he lives with his dad, and they're just starting to like. It leaves you get warm feelings like they're gonna move into the next step of their relationship.
They're going to the next phase. Yeah. And so they're walking down the street, and she takes a step off the curb, and
according to him, it was only a few inches.
So she literally puts 1 foot down off the curb, and all of a sudden you just see splash, like blood's everywhere. All over.
And it's cool, like the effect they use is where you only see spots of blood at first.
Yes.
So you don't necessarily know what just happened. And then they pan over super slow, and her body's just disintegrated.
And it's very like Quentin Tarantino for me.
Yeah, it has a lot of heavy violence in it for sure. And gore.
Well, because even thinking back to Django, like that's what they did. It was very comic bookish,
for sure.
Which I'm totally digging. And then you just see A-Train like run back, and he's like, I can't stop, and it just keeps going. And then you look down and you see her hands on his hands, and she's gone.
That show is dope. I mean, I want to finish watching it, but if I had to rate it out of a 7, it's a 6.5 for sure. Unless they do some stuff.
I don't know. I haven't seen all of it. I'm interested to see where they go.
Well, I have heard that the season finale wasn't great.
They gotta lead up.
No, I got no problem with a bad season finale. It's the series finale that I have a problem with.
I mean, we don't want to talk about Dexter. That's still. to this day a bad thing.
He's a lumberjack somewhere in Montana, is what I've heard.
He could have lived with Hannah and his son. Anyways, we're not gonna talk about this.
So yeah, that's really dope. Check that out. I can't wait. We need to watch some more of that today.
They could have groomed their child. They could have groomed Harrison to be a fucking serial killer with them, a serial killing family.
I would hope. I think that's probably the reason Dexter.
I think that's
we getting off.
Okay.
We getting this off.
Sorry,
All right.
sorry.
So yes, check out The Boys on Amazon Prime. Super dope series, and I love superhero stuff. So that just
clearly we have a wall of superhero stuff, and then both of our books right now because we have a wood table and we're trying to
minimize the feedback.
Yeah, and so
that's why you see these. The microphones are covered in a sheath because we're trying to minimize.
And they wanted to look cool. They're a little chilly. I mean,
they talk to you?
Yeah, don't
what you been on, man? Pass that.
But we have comic books.
Yeah.
Under like he has Spider-Man and I have a huge Marvel book about the history of Marvel. So it's kind of a thing, right?
So the best thing you saw this week, we're gonna transition on is.
So one of the best things that I saw this week is this video. And this reminds me of you because...
You know what's funny? We were talking about your Facebook and it's been up there the whole time. All right. Moving on.
So, it reminds me of you because Ellie loves to prank her dad. She loves to try and scare him.
She does.
She likes to, like, fight him and you guys are just really people.
You know, like, to not have a biological little boy, she is pretty much a little boy.
She's very... She's such a great balance because she is very... like princessy, very girly, but she's also like
she doesn't mean punch me in the stomach.
Yeah, and then run away, or like she'll fart on people, which is fucking hilarious. Yeah, but we don't let her know that because it's gross.
Yeah, she's a funny kid.
But it reminds me of you because I feel like she wanted to get a little tarantula to throw at her dad because he knows that she doesn't like bugs, or she knows that he doesn't like bugs.
Don't like animals,
and so this just reminds me of you because I feel like you would freak out like this.
If I might put tarantula on me, yes, probably.
So here we go. Let us know what you think.
Pick him up. Just pick him up. Just pick him up. Pick him up. Pick him up. Pick him up. Pick him up.
Pick him
And his voice.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Pick him up. Just pick him up. Just pick him up. 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 Oh my god. Oh my god.
What I would have done. So what I would have done is how long did he stay on
Just pick him up.
Somebody did something. I wish we could have seen.
I think probably the person who's, first of all, that has over 10 million views.
Because it's hilarious.
That's
why I haven't seen a lot of memes on it though.
No, I haven't either. I don't know that's something that can convert to a meme.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? But I think.
Or it could be like when the baby mama drops your kid off.
Yeah.
Pick him up. Pick him up.
That'd be a good one. But I think probably the person behind the camera had to go swoop him up, the little iguana. But.
Like I said, I would just grab him and chuck them. Because I understand the fear you're talking about. You said you wouldn't do that.
I would not do that. I don't like things that are scaly.
I'd have grabbed him.
It makes me so uncomfortable, like thinking about it. Like I just don't like it.
I feel like survival mode has to kick in, and I'm not letting no tarantula get into my face. I mean, it's right here, or a lizard. It's right here. You getting too close to my nah, man. You gotta go. I'm picking that thing up and throwing it across the room.
Or you jump up and like shake.
That probably, actually, that's probably way more likely than throwing a tarantula across the room. But that's our viral video of the week, I think.
No, I think we're going to do one more, too.
No, for sure.
But, yeah, I do love that video. I thought it was so hilarious. You want to click out of that one just so?
Yeah. This one right here, the commentary, I got to tell you, was fantastic, okay?
And I have to say, like... we love them, and
American Wars is a dope show. They're changing up a lot. They got teams and stuff.
Our kids love it. Like it is just something.
It's a family-friendly show.
It is, and it's funny too. And the commentators, I don't think always they're a little corny sometimes, but I think this really shows their skills. Their skills and why they get paid.
This was money. All right, let's get into this one. American Ninja Warrior.
Oh no, you didn't start from the beginning.
No, I did. I just didn't. Oh no, I didn't. All right. Sorry.
And then you gotta.
I know, bro.
I'm
I got you.
sorry.
All right, so we gotta. Sorry, this is our first time. I don't normally do this. You're dirty. All right.
You literally just said I don't normally do this.
All right, here we go.
Dirty one.
On the course right now out of Houston, Texas, 32-year-old Nate Mitchell.
Yeah, Nate is a very strong competitor. You know, rock climber, upper body strength here.
Look at
Oh!
my head. Oh, yeah.
What?
And it for the win.
Oh, this
Killed
is
it.
atrocious.
Yeah.
Oh my
He
God, that guy
killed
can
it.
move. We've got a
killed it.
streaker.
Look
You're
at
not
it.
a sport until you have a streaker. American
Oh,
Ninja.
yeah.
Ow!
Oh, hanging out.
Look, you know, guys do all sorts of stuff to get attention. This is nasty.
We are on the strip in Vegas,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Sin City has run. Oh my God, he's riding the horse.
You know how much he got laid
Oh, okay, hold on.
I'm sure.
We've seen stuntmen now.
No! Oh, it's an important time to remind you prostate health is an important concern.
I am blind. I can't see anymore.
Oh! He's putting together an impressive run.
My son
But I don't
can't
want to have
take
to
this.
keep calling this.
Save him from himself.
the little kid.
Somebody
He's
call the
like, I'm
cops.
not looking.
Oh, it's a little cold out here in Vegas, folks.
Man, I hate to say this, but this guy is a hard competitor.
He's rising to the occasion.
This is sick.
But grandma's
This is
always.
sick.
It looks like he's just
Nice
run
to
out
meet
of
you.
steam. Goodness, I feel like I'm his doctor right now, and I just gave him a clean bill of health.
Where is security, man? Where is security?
And
Here's
then,
my
Ow!
popo.
And there they are coming up,
Oh, yeah.
taking the streaker out.
Or as Landon
I
would
hope
say,
they have
the
hand
rent a pop.
sanitizer.
Boy, I think they attacked him like he has leprosy.
I'd like to be Nate Mitchell.
Yeah,
What kind of run is he gonna have now?
It's problematic if he says that.
Okay,
Oh, that was
so
classic,
I have to say, first of all, he has a lot of confidence. I'm
No,
just
of
gonna throw
course
that
he
one
did.
out. Like
he did.
to go naked and having your dick swinging and
I
swinging.
could have done it.
No.
No, I mean I'm proud of my member, but I ain't gonna have him out there just on display kicking and you gyrating and
My
you know,
question
things
is,
like what's
okay,
up?
so would, and this is gonna sound super crude, so if you don't know me, this is just me, so I apologize.
You'll find out quickly.
Yeah, would you go out hard or would you go out soft?
No, you can't go out hard because you're risking things.
Semi.
No, you got your best. Because think about it, you hit something.
Really?
There's a lot of stuff floating around that you hit like a bar or
So
something.
you would be okay with shrinkage on TV
You gotta take the
in front of everybody.
I'm sure he wasn't erect the whole time.
I'm not saying you have to be erect, but like you need to have like a chubby to at least show like there's potential.
So he's Vaseline
And, like
himself.
real quick, and then
I don't think you want to be because like, you know.
Can you run with the dick with the hard on?
Yeah, of course you can run with it. It's just
But is
not
it comfortable? But that's my
No,
thing. It's like,
not
could you move
comfortable.
so agilely?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's another reason you
Okay.
wouldn't want to have
Okay.
a full guy at attention.
I'm not
That's
saying. I'm just saying.
What do you think the consequences were for that? You think he got time, like jail time?
I'm sure he got booked.
No, I'm sure he got arrested.
But I mean, I think he's be able to find a night in jail. They probably say like they take him to court the next day, and then he plead guilty, and then all would be fine, and he had a fine.
I felt bad for the kids though. The kids were like, I don't.
They
wanna
were in
see
fucking
this.
Vegas.
They were like.
They-
But I'm saying they're still kids. They were very much like, I don't want to see this dingleberry.
And I had to laugh because they're like preteens, and that's I think like the time that you get the most embarrassed by that shit.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't want to see this dude.
Because
slum.
like at least for me, like I wouldn't be looking at his dick, but I'd be watching him the entire time because that shit's funny as
Well,
fuck.
and the thing is, he did really well. So you said they probably would have let him qualify. I think they should have.
No, I think they should have let him finish.
I think they should let him qualify.
For
you,
real.
Because you got to use that. You got to use that as advertising. Now you do
He should've
commercials.
there was a guy who did it in a Speedo.
No, but I'm saying like with that dude particularly. Now you do commercials. Now you do T-shirts. That's literally like for the second.
What would your slogan be?
We bear it all on American Ninja Warrior.
Oh, that ain't bad.
I'm just saying, you got to turn everything into a marketing opportunity, and I would have cashed in on that. I'd have been like, yeah, man, we're gonna let you qualify, come back, like wear some kind of T-shirt with you doing the act. Like, I would have made it the whole thing.
Put the bar so people know.
Right,
like,
of course,
I
you
think
can't
that'd
have his dick
be,
out
no,
there.
of course not. But I think that'd be funny for sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe you maybe you sell some without.
Hey,
you like,
that
bro?
grandma would wear it.
That grandma was all about
She
it.
was into it. She's like, yeah.
She was like, as soon as you get done, come see
This
me.
way, homie.
All right, so now we're going from the funny to the.
So we're getting to our real topics. Those were just kind of some entertainment things that we saw this week that we thought would kind of
And
bring.
you found those, so thank you for sharing.
I found all of these. I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but toot toot.
Yeah, no, he did your thing. I did not
That's okay.
contribute to
That's
the
all right.
success of
I
what's
still love
happening
you.
right
That's
now.
fine.
All right, so now we get into something a little bit horrific, and we're probably not gonna stay in this long
I hate
because
this one.
yeah, you and me both. I don't want to stay on long. We got to talk about it.
I don't even want to
So
watch
at
it.
the Bill and Melinda Gates funded school,
Do you know what the school's called?
I don't. Let me see if this is
Oh.
in the article.
Yeah,
Nah, it's TMZ was doing clickbait, and it says the Bill and Melinda School. That they
It's fine.
All right. So this is somewhere in LA though. Is the LAPD that dealt with it? Stop playing footsie with me.
All right, so
I guess you should. No, keep going. I'll just.
No, you're fine. So basically, what happened is it's a case of bullying, and you see a teacher walk by, and this kid basically punches another student in the stomach, and then chokes them, and then all of a sudden you see him pass out. And he passed out so many times.
I was traveling with my son, and he asked me, Mom, where are all the brown people? I started the Mom Trotter, where I write about tips and tricks for families who want to travel the world.
Where are you?
I want to show the world that families of color do travel. Encourage diversity.
So basically, he
Travel
passed
connects
out
us
so
with
many
other
times
people.
that
I want my
he
kids to
didn't
know
know
that
where
the
he
world
is.
is not
Now,
just
he
limited
knows
to what
to
they
the
see
extent
here every day.
what
I want them to
his-
see what's
his
out there, to
brain
know they have
uses,
options.
But even still, that's such a huge spectrum. We don't know how far it is. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, and his mom is still in school, and I think that's completely fair, but she won't press charges on this little boy. So here, the smaller one, obviously against the wall, is the one getting beat up. You see this kid, he went here, I think he's choking him right now. And then you see
Look
the
at this
staff.
old bum ass lady.
One of the teachers.
This makes me literally physically angry. Like,
Look, she
oh,
looks.
there's a problem. No,
look,
he's
and
fine.
now-
I gotta get to class. I got students.
Okay, you only see him double over in fucking pain, and now down to the floor.
Well, at this point, you know, because you made a good point. He punched him. He probably winded him. And like the thing is, when your brain loses oxygen, you start to die.
Well, and I have had like he's clutching his throat. So look at him. He's seeing him like, oh fuck, like something's really
the
wrong.
bully is like, I went too far.
And my thing is like, if you've ever gotten winded, that shit like you freak out.
Yeah.
And now he's passed out.
Well, so what they were saying is because it was an injury to where it cut off the air to his brain. That's where he
takes him to get some water, and you see right here he'll pass out again. Yep. There you go.
I will give the kid his credit. He did try to do the
Passed
right
out.
thing after doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, passed out right there.
His face is in the thing now.
They get him to sit down. She radios it. This kid walks away.
I couldn't leave. I feel so bad. And I feel like she didn't do a great job of positioning him in that chair.
And then they pick him up and take him into the office. They have to drag him.
Yeah, because he's not moving. He's not responsive.
They put him on the floor. And for me, if he's not breathing, why are you not performing CPR?
Well, he's probably breathing. He's probably labored breathing. You don't want to do too much to, like, cause
But why
more.
wouldn't you sit there and make sure his heart beat? Why wouldn't you take those things?
I don't think these are people that are trained for this
They
kind of
are
stuff.
at a school. And so now you see this lady who's starting to freak out, like, get the fuck here.
Yeah, she knows his
This
problems.
is 911.
She's like, something bad
You
is
see
happening.
him twitching at the bottom. And for me, someone should be sitting
That's
with
a
him.
12-year-old boy, man. That is.
That's a baby.
that
We
is-
have a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, facts.
And
if
so
that
they get
happened
him
to
up.
me, good luck to that school. We're gonna have some real discussions.
And so you see him in the corner, and you see that he is not well. Like, you can tell, like, even when they pick him up, he is not well. EMS gets here, the paramedics.
Yeah, this is disturbing. This is just disturbing. I feel like people weren't taking this as seriously as they needed to. And I mean, that was your point, I guess, about the CPR.
And I
things
don't,
like that.
and that's my thing is like I don't think they realized what it was, and now you have a student in the corner who either doesn't know what's going on,
Yeah, he's over there wilding.
or he's panicking.
Hey, he dancing and shit though.
I mean, he could have been autistic. You don't know what's going on with that child.
Look at him. He can
Right
barely
here,
even
like he can't
stand,
move.
man. And that happened. And the thing that's the worst about that video is how quickly it took place.
It can take a matter of minutes.
Well, yeah. I mean, you cut off oxygen to the brain, you start losing brain function. I mean,
Well,
that's just.
and not just that, you don't know, and we've talked about this, what underlying issues that child had,
Right,
or even
right.
if that child didn't know and his parents didn't know. There's so
Right.
many underlying issues that someone can have, and when you do something like that, like punching him in the stomach and choking him for
Yeah,
even a
because you
matter of
made a
15
good point.
seconds,
Like that probably knocked the wind out of him. And now you choking, so you already
So
lose
now you're
all of
panicked.
that. Well, not only that, but you lose all of that air.
and you
airflow.
can't even like
right.
you can't even like so when you're getting choked or whatever, like that. I don't want to say like it's like holding your breath, but like you can. I think
Right, you can't breathe.
you can't even circulate it because so now you're hurt and now you're choking and now like
So the airflow is already minimal after the punch. And so now you're cutting off whatever's left with the choke.
And that's it.
And it was probably, honestly, it was probably the perfect storm of everything that happened.
Absolutely.
Because if it had been like he punched him and the kid walked away and then he caught up with him and then he had a chance to get some of the air back,
right,
you know what I mean? It's just like a...
And so the mom isn't pressing charge on the child. And while I understand why she doesn't want to do that because it's another 12-year-old boy and at 12 you don't understand the consequences. And bullying, I'm sorry not to cut you off, bullying is very prevalent. And even when and not that it's okay because it's never okay, but even when I went to school, people fought like that. Right.
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm looking like between the fights my brother had, I could have easily been killed. You know, this is all it takes. Like
between me and my sisters, we threw things, we punched each other in the face.
Yeah, I pushed my brother's head through a wall. I mean,
y'all broke a dishwasher.
He threw me down on the dishwasher. It's
Mom,
amazing.
Meryl's gonna get mad. I mean, she knows now, but
yeah, well, it used to be. It used to be real. So
it's just it makes me. So I get why she's not doing it.
And I think she's right to not press charges. Honestly, at first I was out of pressure, but the more I think about it, it's like. That kid has enough he's going to deal with knowing he basically...
I think that I wouldn't press charges, but I would demand in court that they do some counseling, something. Oh yeah, no,
you got to get that kid some help.
Because
that's fair.
And not even because I think that that child's going to be a bad child moving forward. I just think that because the gravity of the situation hits him that he almost killed somebody.
I mean, he basically ruined this kid's life, though. Like, what's he gonna do? Like, imagine how smart Landon is, and all of a sudden he's learning to disable. You know what I mean? Like that, and then
it would be devastating.
And then the parents have to deal with that every day and thinking like, oh man,
And so I think
this is the kind of shit that I don't wish upon. It's just so bad.
No, and so it's for me. I'm really it's heartbreaking even to watch. Like I hate watching those videos like on World Star. Of children fighting and even teens fighting.
You remember that kid that got killed in the bathroom? That 15-year-old, they got into a fight.
Yes,
like,
I do.
Yeah,
they slammed her head against the sink.
I just pray to God, man, every night that we don't have to get a phone call like that because I couldn't handle it. That kid would probably have to go.
What do you do?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. You can't do it.
How would you drive there? That's my fear is how would I be able to get there fast?
Teleportation. I don't have an answer.
I know you don't have an answer. I know. That's why you're making jokes because you don't have an answer. But like, it's a real fear of mine. If something were to happen, how do I get there fast?
I don't know. I want to move on now. God bless
too much.
that young
Doing
man.
Too much.
Yeah, I hope that man.
Hopefully he gains, regains a lot of his motor functions. And
well, when they make those
they
make those diagnoses and like people definitely recover. You know
no, for
I mean?
sure.
They're not always 100% right.
And also, you don't know how much oxygen he actually lost.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And I think this is the fact that he did have some function that he could stand and things like that. That's all important.
Of course, absolutely. So, but I'm sorry, did I kick you?
No, you good.
Okay.
All right, let's get into this next one. So this one is actually we're supposed to do Joe Rogan first. You want to go out of order or you want to switch it?
No, you can switch it. This is not a big deal. I think that Joe Rogan should be last because we have two parts to it.
Last? All right, that's cool. Well, not really two parts. I didn't combine them like you said.
No, but I mean, I feel like they are pretty hand in hand.
They're related, yeah, for sure. All right, so this one is Sarah Silverman, and I like Sarah Silverman personally. She's a groundbreaking comic.
Funny.
She's hilarious.
She's done kids movies.
Yeah, she seems to be a decent person.
Princess, what's her face? The little girl.
Oh, she was.
Yeah, she is.
Excuse me. Yeah, I like Sarah Silverman a lot, but recently she came under fire. She didn't really come under fire, but she lost a movie role, and so she did a sketch back in I think it was '96. They got it right here below.
2007.
No, I thought it was earlier than that.
I think it's in the first paragraph.
Here's the actual visual of it. So she did blackface a long time ago. There's Sarah Silverman at the bottom. Jimmy Fallon, you see Jimmy Kimmel. Was this like an SNL sketch or something?
I think so.
But basically, she was supposed to do a movie. And you can see it right there if you have to zoom in on your screen or something. But she was supposed to do a movie role, a pretty good gig. And then at the 11 p.m. the night before they started shooting, they fired her because of this photo.
Can you scroll all the way up? I'm so sorry. Yeah, 2007.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it was on her show. It was a Sarah Silverman program. Okay. And that was a pretty funny show, too.
I don't remember it.
We're going to run this little video real quick.
And this doesn't really have any audio to it, so I think we're fine.
Yeah, we can talk through it. But she took it like a G. So basically what she was saying is, like, when she got the role canceled, she didn't, like, petition to keep it.
Right.
She didn't, like, make an immediate thing. Right.
Yeah.
She didn't do nothing. She just said, okay, I get it. And she also went on to say that, like, comedy is evergreen, and what she's saying by that is like you should be a little off put by the things you did in the past, and the jokes that you ran that were okay, they shouldn't be okay now. So if you don't look back and go, damn, I said some things I shouldn't have, you didn't, something's wrong with you.
And I think that's what makes her one of my favorite female comedians is that she really knows that, like, I think she would stick by what she said if she really felt that way. But I think because she is very progressive, and like all humans, we evolve, and the way we think evolves, rather.
For sure.
And so she can say 10 years ago, I'm not that person anymore. Like, I know 10 years ago, 2007, that's what, 12 years ago?
I wouldn't say it's 15 minutes ago. So. These are facts.
So 12 years ago, I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely know it being 26,
right.
but I don't think the same way.
When you're 44, you're not going to think the same way you do now.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, even now, like, I can think back, and obviously, again, for those who don't know, I think we've briefly touched this past. Like, I have a 12-year-old now, or about to be 12-year-old. And so the way I thought then, now that I'm an actual adult,
right?
Like, I've said things, and I'll say this again, and I know whatever, you can come for me, but I know it was the wrong thing to say. But the example that I come to is, racer cars. It's the Subarus that have the fucking spoiler, like the big spoiler on the back.
Right.
And
they usually
the
imported cars. Right,
imported cars. Yeah. And I didn't even realize that was kind of like a racist term till you pointed out that, like, if you break it down, ricer, like RICE.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not nice.
And I would never, ever say that now, like, out in public. I would never, like, describe anything like that because it's just inappropriate. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings because I am also biracial. My children are biracial.
Well, and I'll see you on that, too. I made a comment. I was like, the gays are good people or something like that. You were like, no. You were like, you don't say. And I wasn't being like,
No, it wasn't offensive. And you were being supportive.
But certain times you say certain things that you don't understand. Like, if you frame it differently, you go, oh, yeah, I shouldn't say that. That's not right.
Like, you don't, like, and how we explained that was, like, you don't say the blacks.
Right.
Or the
Mexicans.
And
as soon as you said that, I was
and then you're like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think most people, and most honest people, will tell you that they said things that they probably should have never said.
Of course. And the thing about her, she was also bringing up cancel culture, which I was telling you with the Kanye thing. We talked about this previously. Like, I've been very, very... Kanye's done. I don't want to see him anymore after he made the
mistake.
A choice to be... Yeah, it was a mistake. But after he said that, I just didn't want anything to do with him anymore. And I think that's appropriate for a period of time.
Absolutely.
But like you also have to
show repentance too.
Right, exactly. And he did apologize, and then you have to let the other person. You have to let people back in, though. You don't just because they tried to do the same thing with Kodak Black. He made those comments about. He's made a few comments he shouldn't make. He's kind of wild, but he made those comments about.
But he's young as fuck.
Yeah, he's 22. He made those comments about Lauren London after Nipsey Hussle died. That she kept crying his shoulder, and it was like.
But you even made a point. Like, not you specifically, but like people would say that to their boys, and then
right. He was on live, and somebody put the phone down somewhere like an idiot, just let it run.
And so it wasn't like anything that he meant to, like, he didn't publicly speak out about it or anything like that. Like, it wasn't to be disrespectful. Right. But he was just making a joke. And honestly, that's what we all fucking do.
Well, and honestly, I'm with a bunch of dudes and be like, Lauren London kind of bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little side. It's not.
And it was no disrespect to Nipsey Hussle or anything like that, or London, or Lauren London or anything like that.
Right. I don't think Kodak would come out and be like, I don't like Nipsey. Like, I don't think that was the thing. But people were done. People cancel him. He only, and it's.
And people say stupid things, and they do stupid things at different points in their life, not to make it okay. But if you can own up to it and say, yeah, that was shitty, and I would never ever do that again. Right. I think you grow.
You deserve respect for that too. Like you deserve some kind of like she said, I'm not that person anymore. I know now to never do anything. Like you do have to learn from your mistakes. Things happen. You go, oh wow, that's not the way to move. You stop moving that way.
Right. And so I saw something really recently that kind of pertains to this is people who voted for Trump. Next, we're about to segue into some political stuff. And so, who voted for Trump originally, and so they went and interviewed them back when he was elected in 2016. So they said, why did you vote for Trump? What do you hope for it? Right? And they went back this year saying, knowing what you know now, would you vote for him again? And I think it was like 72% of them would not vote for him again. Yeah. Because, and they regretted that. They were like, we thought he stood for something else, and he didn't, and he has made people suffer for it. Yeah. And people thought, and so I think in that case, I condemn, I really do. If I know that you voted for Trump, I'm not I'm not going to be
You make your licks look at it differently, for sure.
I'm not going to really associate myself with you.
Right. You keep a little bit of distance.
But if I know that you're, like, remorseful, saying, yeah, no, I thought it was going to be something different, which I can believe. I think a lot of the times when, you know, presidency candidates, they present something other than what they actually do.
Right.
So I think that's very fair.
Right.
But it's just one of those things that you kind of have to, if they seem remorseful about it, you kind of have to just move forward and say, well, yeah, we all fuck up.
Everybody's got to learn, man. And you know, and in the Trump example, like, it's okay. To me, it's not, I don't hate you for Trump. I just feel like I hope you understand what you did now and don't
do it again.
The next time around you do something a little different. But like, man, we all human beings. We all human beings.
You know, and yeah. So I think, like I said, I think that's what makes her one of my favorite actors. Unlike some people who cut off presidents' heads and seem no remorseful for that. Though she is extremely talented, so we're not even going to say that Kathy Griffin's not. But Sarah Silverman seems very, very. I mean, she's grown, and that's all you can ask. Man.
I like her. All right, let's move on now. We're going to talk about Jay-Z and his partnership with the NFL. And so, you know, I'm a Jay-Z stan. I ain't going to front like I'm not. I'm very quick to point out when we did our podcast, we did if you go check out our last podcast, we did the beef between Cameron and Jay-Z, which was a huge beef, and it was
some Jim Jones,
a little bit of Jim Jones in the background, and that was at the time right when he was beefing with Nas as well, and I was very critical of him because he did a lot of things wrong in that whole thing.
No, absolutely.
I think he honestly prevented Cameron from being as big as he could have been. You know.
I mean, yes, I think that he did stunt it. I do think that Cameron could have done more.
There's some life situations, you know. He had
no, of course,
we're not gonna get off topic on it.
That's a whole nother story. But, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. So, Jay-Z has partnered with the NFL, and Rock Nation is actually going to be putting on their halftime show this year. So that's huge.
It's going to be bomb as fuck.
It's probably going to be amazing. I'm thinking. I think Beyonce did it a couple years back. I was thinking
she did do it a couple Formation. That shit was
but I think it's probably going to be some very, very good stuff. They're an intelligent group. And so he's getting a check from the NFL. Let's not call it what it ain't. But in addition to this, they also made him a part of their, I think it's called Inspired Change Activism campaign. And so, you know what I should have done is pulled up the conversation with Roger Goodell.
It's fine.
Where Charlamagne the God was at. But a lot of people are being very critical of Jay because they feel like this is kind of a cop-out. Like, you know, at first you had a problem with Colin Kaepernick not having a job. He did a bunch of shows where he had Colin Kaepernick jersey on.
And it's something that this article I read and I completely forgot about. They asked him to do the halftime show, and he said no.
No, he turned it down.
I completely forgot that happened.
Yeah, he turned it down. He mentions that on one of his songs on his latest album. But, you know, people are mad, though, and specifically safety from the Panthers, he also has been taking a knee the whole time. Colin has, but it hasn't been as publicized. But he said that he thinks, you know, Jay-Z's selling out. He thinks that they're just throwing money at the problem. They did last year. They threw $89 million, or maybe it was the year before, at this Inspired Change activism campaign, and now they're bringing Jay-Z in to take it to the next step and to figure out how they can continue to inspire change throughout the world with football. And a lot of people are mad about it. A lot of people don't like it. He's also expressed interest in owning an NFL team. Right. And honestly, this is the step to do that.
Absolutely.
You get up next to the commissioner, you get in his ear, y'all become friends.
And then he gets close with other owners as well.
Of course. And Jay-Z's always broken the barriers, being the only dude of color in the white room. You know, he's always been that guy, and now.
Well, yeah, because he's one of the richest men in the world.
Well, and his business savvy is unquestionable. You know what I mean? You come from selling crack to being a billionaire. That's not. You don't do that without having some kind of savvy. Right, exactly. You know, so quick sidebar. I saw Dame Dash. We did the beef, and then a lot of that had to do with Dame Dash.
Absolutely.
Dame Dash was on some kind of interview that they saying that Jay-Z is working with federal informants.
And?
No, I mean, no, you can't do that. That's not an and thing.
Well,
that's a
no,
problem.
my and was like, and.
Well, my thing is just,
like,
what are you doing, man? Like, why are you even talking about it?
Okay, that's off
topic.
That goes back
I
to
just
the
had
whole
to,
beef.
I just had to throw it out there because it irritated me. At any rate, yeah. So what do you think about this whole thing?
So, you know, and we've kind of brushed on this and how I feel about it. There's something else that I want to ask you about afterwards. Is, you know, now. So now I'll ask you this now. So not only is taking a knee during football, it's starting to expand to other sports.
Yeah, it has been for a little while.
And so now you can see it in the Olympics, where it's broadcasted around the fucking world.
Yeah, I do got in trouble for that. So there was, I don't know what the sport was, though.
I don't either, but he won a medal and on the podium and he kneeled.
Yeah, he took the bronze and he took a knee. And then I suppose like the Olympics has a rule that no athlete is allowed to show any political anything, affiliations, movements, anything like that.
You know, I really and I think this is a thing that I have.
So he may lose his ability to compete in the next Olympics.
I mean,
which I think is BS.
I do think it's all. I agree.
I mean, because taking a knee ain't like holding up a flag or like with an X through it. You know,
no,
there's so much more you can do.
It's still his country that he's representing. He's still being very respectful.
Right. No disrespect.
But and for me, you even said like this isn't the time to kneel anymore. Like we're past that point. I think that Jay-Z is so smart. He's 3 steps ahead of anybody. So if you're gonna make something change, you have to do it from the inside. How else like are you supposed to change the NFL in the way that people look at it?
Right. And the dude has done so much, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. You got to see what he's going to do with it. Now, if it turns out that it's just a money grab, we'll find that out too. That'll be obvious. But yeah, I didn't mention that. I'm glad you did. Oh shit, what was I going to say? You just brought it up. I lost it. Oh well. What did you say? Do you remember what you just said?
He inspired change.
No,
how it's
before
supposed to
that.
do inside.
3 steps ahead, something right before that.
He's extremely smart businessman, so why wouldn't he think about it? And not just that, people are really upset because they're like, so what are you going to do for Colin Kaepernick now?
And that was the other thing. So Kaepernick still doesn't have a job, and he just put out a video recently on his Instagram about how he's still training, doing the same regimen he's been doing since he left the league to be physically ready. And they asked, you know, what do you think? Somebody actually asked. So there's a conversation with Roger Goodell, Jay-Z, I think I said Charlamagne's there. There's a few other media correspondents. Yeah. And he says, you know, what do you think about Colin Kaepernick and how are you going to work him into this? And Jay-Z was like, look, kneeling is what brought us to this point. You know, so he's obviously been a huge part. He gave him his comments and his just do. He said that was a big portion that brought us here. But he's like, but where do we go from there? This is about the next step. And he's like, I hope Colin would be, you know, I hope he'd want to join up with us and figure it out. But, you know, but if not, that's okay too. I understand. You know what I mean? So he was real like, look, it's a spot for him if he wants it, but if not.
And that's what I'm saying, that and to me, and I don't know that, I think Colin Kaepernick has made too many waves in the NFL. Not that that's a bad thing. I just don't think that he's going to return as a player.
Well, I don't think they'll let him in. I think he wants to, but I don't think.
And that's what I'm saying is, you know, like I said, I think he's made too many waves, and the NFL, and they have lost money, and this is something that has been seen. They've lost money over the last like 20 years in their franchise. Like gaming is beating them. Like and so I don't think that they can financially take that hit if Colin Kaepernick comes back as a football player. Yeah, but Jay-Z having a sports what's it called?
Agency.
Yeah, division. Right, I think that he could represent him in a different way, and to bring him into this inspire social
I can't see how he wouldn't. I can't. I mean, it's just a natural thing. I can't say
he did this. I don't want to say for him, but he did it because of him.
Well, my thing too is like obviously, you know,
and the police brutality, because he's been so against it from the get go. I mean, we have Meek Mill, people here in Arizona.
Yeah, he paid for the lawyers of a family here that were abused by the police.
Yes,
but I keep forgetting what I was saying.
Oh no, it's just one of those days. It's our Monday. Bo's off today, which has been super nice, and we're kind of enjoying our day, and so.
Yeah, but anyway, I think this is fantastic. He's drawing criticism on both sides of the room, but at the end of the day, I think a guy like Jay-Z, you know, he has. When he got into the sports agency thing, they were a lot of the agents were laughing. They were like, "What's this rapper gonna come do? He don't know." You know what I mean? So I don't doubt anything that he does, and I think it'd be great.
Yeah, and he you know, to speak to his intelligence, he sold part of his company. He sold his share in a company just
essentially to himself.
Essentially, exactly, because he was named president of the company that bought him out.
Right.
Like
I don't think. Yeah.
I don't think that he
became the president
would be a part of something that he can't turn into something better.
Well, I mean, look, everybody was clowning when he bought Tidal, and there was a lot of issues with Tidal.
I remember, and now it's one of the number one. Yeah, the third biggest. I mean, we pay for it. So.
Yeah, for sure. And so nothing the dude does really goes sideways.
And like I said, I'm very interested to see how he's going to incorporate Colin Kaepernick. I'm very excited for that. Like I said, I think, you know, we've talked about this. Would we kneel? Would we not kneel?
That's what I was gonna make the point about. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. Also, he's in a position of leverage because they asked him to do the Super Bowl. He said on his track, "Y'all need me, I don't need you." So obviously they came back to the table with okay, how can we get you to do this? Because
they saw him out.
My boy OC baby laugh. He goes, JC is like the head of the black people. And it's like, that's a weird thing. That's a weird title to give anybody. But like,
I mean, who wouldn't you want to represent you?
And so when they got him for the Super Bowl by him saying no, they know he is their ticket to the urban market. They know that. So they got to pretty much, so any way that he entered into this partnership is on his terms because they know they need him. So he can go in and say, look, you got to do this. Which is a little bit curious because it does make me think, why didn't he get Kaepernick a job? You know, why didn't he say, maybe he will. Maybe he said, you guys got to give him a fair shake. You got to let him have a fair shot at it.
Yeah, well, and that's my thing. Is like we don't know what's going behind the scenes. We only know that this deal was just signed. So we don't know the intentions he has. We don't know the terms that they have. The NFL is not going to speak on anything because they never want to admit when they're wrong.
No, most
and huge company being the NFL, they don't want to do that. So I think it's something that's going to have to be brought out. Jay-Z's the neck. He's going to turn it the way he wants to turn it. Yeah. That is what it is. So I'm excited to see what's gonna come from this and you know.
All right, let's get into the next one. We spent a lot of time on that one.
I'm very passionate about that one.
No, it's good. I mean, yesterday you didn't really want to do it, but
I didn't want to do it because I didn't feel like I knew about it. But then I realized that I had a lot of feelings because I have a lot of feelings in general. And
all right, so this next one is really dope, and I didn't even know about this till today. Cardi B and Bernie Sanders actually sat down and had a conversation. I've been seeing a lot of tweets and a lot of IG stuff about Cardi and what she was doing. But
how do you feel about Cardi? Like in general, how do you feel about Cardi?
I like her.
You like her music?
Her music is dope. She's a beautiful person. She has a great spirit.
Her baby is like fucking adorable.
Don't care about that. But her baby. But she's got a beautiful spirit about her. But I hate hearing her talk. She's a good human. When she talks, it's like pencils on a chalk or nails on a chalkboard to me. I can't handle it, and I just. It just makes her who she is. So she can't change it because it's her like. Signatures or selling point.
I definitely believe that it's who she is. I think it's exaggerated.
But I do think it's who she is. When I hear her talk, I just go, But she sat down with Bernie Sanders at a nail shop to discuss some real social issues. It's about a 10-minute video. We only give you about a minute, but it's really dope. I got you.
The space bar.
Don't you ever feel like scared that like these people that run drug companies and these schools, you know, it's all a business, and it's like, are you scared that you will get?
She can't straight up say, and I guess it's part of her charm, and that's why people like her so much because she does appeal to a lot of people because she is very real. But instead of just saying, are you scared that so many powerful people will be coming at you or get mad at you because of what you're doing? She goes, so like right,
and that's what I'm saying. She has no like training. I just want to be like, yo,
But the way she talks, like the occur and that kind of stuff, like that doesn't bother me. It's just that she takes too long to get to the question.
I'm gonna start it.
But that bothers me about anybody.
It was grungy.
Don't you ever feel like?
Man, I should have started this and let it load.
We did.
Scared that like these people that run drug companies and these schools, you know, it's all a business. And it's like, are you scared that you will get so many powerful people upset?
Cardi, that's what I've been doing my whole life.
All right, guys, so this is Cardi and Bernie, and we're out here in Detroit at the Tent Nail Bar, because you know I love nails, you know what I'm saying? A couple of weeks ago, I asked my followers, what type of questions would you like to ask a Democratic candidate? Let's go, baby.
Oh, so she got these from her followers. That's pretty cool.
And you know what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to advocate the youth in my community because I feel like there's a serious problem right now in America. We have this bully as a president, and the only way to take him out is somebody winning.
You know, we got to get rid of Donald Trump, obviously, because Donald Trump is an overt racist. He's way out there.
But right now, people are just not scared to show it.
Yes.
And we constantly see on social media police brutality against black men and against minorities. What are we going to do to change that?
So obviously, and we should sit and watch it afterwards because we didn't watch the whole thing, and I want to see how that conversation went. I will say, in my opinion, I don't like older presidents. Bernie Sanders, though, if an old president got to win, would definitely be the guy to win.
I'm not checking my time. I just have an Apple Watch and I get a lot of notifications.
Bruh, we be hanging out. I'm like, man, what?
Where you gotta be at?
Yeah, she be on her phone, her iPhone, iWatch, whatever.
Apple Watch.
But I gotta give Cardi a lot of credit, man. She is using her platform to a bigger degree. You know, it's always gonna be the Cardi Nicki thing. I think their whole career is gonna be like that forever, just because they're the two biggest acts right now, and they're probably gonna continue to be.
I think. Oh, that's one that we didn't put on this one.
Which one was that?
The Nicki Joe Budden one.
Oh, I can pull it up real quick.
That's fine. I think we have enough.
That's cool.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that'll be our next week one.
All right.
I think for beef. So I think with Nicki and Cardi, until they really collaborate, until they do something like Nicki did with Meg Thee Stallion, it will never be put to bed, or unless she goes on Queen Radio.
But my point was that.
But that's gonna ensue in a fight. They need some people around them.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic. What I was kind of saying is that she's using her platform more than Nicki Minaj ever did. Because Nicki Minaj has been around a lot longer, and I can't ever remember Nicki Minaj sitting down with a
presidential
candidate. Right, that's what I'm saying. And like, that's why I have a ton of respect for Cardi. She's been speaking out on social issues for a long time. This ain't like something she just started doing.
I feel like she is closer to her roots.
Agreed.
Rather,
but she's not so far removed either, because she's only been a star for like 3 years.
Whereas Nicki's been in the game 12. But she's been working for a while, so let's not take that away from her.
But I mean, what I'm saying is like when you hit stardom, it removes you. You know,
no, for sure.
Yeah, no,
absolutely. I would say about 3 years or so. Yeah. She's less removed from where she was at, and I feel like she still sees, a lot of people that don't have what she has, and she knows, and she's also young. She's only 26 years old.
I also don't feel like she's ostracized the people around her, because Nicki has ostracized people. Like the fact that her and Drake, there was some interviews recently where like they brought up Drake's name, and she immediately changed the subject.
She will not say his name.
And I don't know what happened, but like, I mean, I don't know.
You really don't know what happened?
What
that whole meat thing? You don't think that soured their relationship?
I mean, I think that he came out and accused Drake of ghostwriting. What's he supposed to do? Nicki should understand that you gotta defend yourself.
But that's your man, and that's like your homie. Like
shit, she should have told the man to chill. Drake got them bars. Anyway,
we don't want to fuck with that. But anyways, I feel like with Cardi, she is on the younger side. She is 26, and she sees it. She's around it. She knows that. Not that Nicki doesn't, because I think she does, and I think most people do. But I think because, again, she isn't to this platform of, like, this huge celebrity. Like, I could see myself kicking it with fucking Cardi.
I just don't think she buys into it, though. I think Nicki bought into it quickly. I don't think her... And she's got a man and a kid, and she's got a family unit. She's just so much more grounded and humble. Like, I don't know what she's like behind closed doors, but I don't feel like she buys into this idea that she's this huge star. I think she's just Cardi, and I think that's why people have loved her, and they will love her.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Whereas
is
Nicki,
that she's not removed. Like, she doesn't present herself as the queen of anything. She's not on this other, like, worldly, like
I'm a celestial being and you are dirt type of
which
thing.
Which is, I mean...
And that's how Nicki's treating people. I mean, it's documented. It's not. We're not even saying nothing slanderous.
I mean, her thing is called Queen Radio.
And we listen to that. If you get a minute, we'll probably do a
I think that's our next week, because I really do want to talk about it in depth, just because it's so good, and I think I want to be a counselor, and so I feel like I can exercise a little bit of that.
Yeah, you probably get a good case study right there.
Yeah.
But my thing is like, she screams on people. Not that Cardi don't, but I just don't feel like. I feel like she's more approachable. I feel like she's a nicer person, and I'm proud of her. I'm very proud of her for using her platform politically and not being afraid to. Because there's a lot of artists that won't do it because they don't want to.
They don't want to burn bridges.
Because Jay never did that coming up. He's done that in his latter career, but coming up, he went on no political nothing.
And I think also Cardi has, and I don't know if her celebrity is going to be sustainable.
I think so.
But I do know that she has blown up.
Because once you make the records she's made, people always have you on the track. So you can't really...
maybe. And because of who, you do have, what's his face, too.
Offset, the Migos. Yeah, like that's... They're still... They drop some music. They're still huge. So.
But I think it is really amazing for her to use her platform to speak of something other than being celebrity.
Yeah, facts.
And I think she's also trying to change the world because she does have a baby. She doesn't want her baby or future children or even Offset's children, 9 million of them, anything to happen to them or even
that man got some kids.
Or even, I mean, she's from the Bronx, so people in New York get murdered. Yeah. She doesn't want that to happen and keep happening. None of us want that to keep happening. So I really do admire that she is, although she's not the most eloquent.
Because that is discouraging our people.
Her delivery just isn't the most polished. But I do think that it is awesome that she is sitting down with the Democratic Party to talk the issues.
Well, and low key, Bernie Sanders is a really good shot at winning the next election.
And I think it's so smart of her to ask her followers, saying, "What do you want to know?"
Yeah, I think Cardi is a great. Not the videos I've seen her stripping and opening up bottles with her cooch.
Why?
But,
I think that is something so real. Because you hear all these stripper...
I don't want my daughters open them.
Absolutely not. But if they chose to do that, I think that's something that they should own as a different part of their life.
Really fight against
Again...
No. All I'm saying is I'm proud of her. I didn't like that aspect of her life. You want to take that off? Maybe just...
Is it bothering you?
A little bit.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely, I'll take it off.
No worries. I don't have a problem.
To be fair, it's him that's blowing up. It's not even me.
I don't have a problem with Cardi being a stripper at all. All I'm saying is that the videos I've seen of her weren't things that I could be proud of. But this type of stuff is fantastic.
I think what you can be proud of, and it goes back to the Sarah Silverman thing, is the
growth. Yeah, and that's essentially what I'm saying.
And so, although, of course, I would not ever be happy seeing the girl, it's fucking, like, I would not be happy to see them do those things, but she literally built herself from nothing.
Nah, man, she's a dope story, and she's using that platform.
And I think that's
better.
also what makes her so relatable to people, is that she doesn't sugarcoat it. Yeah, those fucking videos are out there. Yeah, you can go see that shit. But she's like, now I'm not doing it for free. You need to pay the big money if you want to see my ass anywhere.
What was that? Oh, something. Oh.
But I mean, like I said, I think that it's very inspiring for her to be. She's my age. To be so successful and to be using her platform for something that is very serious, even though she's a goofy human being, because she is super, like, I mean, that is what she is, but to use it to inspire change.
Yeah. Factual.
Quickly after her success has been built.
You ready to move on?
Yes.
All right, so kind of tying into the Cardi thing, Joe Rogan. Everybody loves Joe Rogan.
Who doesn't?
I can't think of anybody who doesn't like him. There's not a lot of people that just...
Absolutely.
He had Elon Musk smoking blunts. I mean, I gotta put that in a rhyme. That's actually really dope. But that is by far, like, one of the coolest things anybody can claim they've done.
He can just, I feel like, not to cut you off, I'm very, very verbose today.
Yeah, no, I used to look at it, so good though.
You can't even remember a thought, so I think it's all right.
Go ahead.
For me, and we've talked about this, I don't think that you realize, like, I don't say that I'm an over fan, but I have followed him through his career.
Right.
From, the fake octagon fights, through Fear Factor, even till now, like...
Joe Rogan was one of the original marijuana pioneers, I feel like, too. He was very open about smoking when it wasn't, like, cool.
Popular.
To be
where
open
it wasn't
about
okay.
Yeah,
and to show that you can still be successful
yeah,
and do
right.
these things.
He was definitely, like... He didn't get enough credit for that. People don't really talk about that, but he was...
I
remember
feel like
him...
he's up there with Snoop. Like,
yeah,
he has
I
been
remember
doing
him
it
before
since...
anybody being like, yeah, I smoke weed all the time. That was, like... Fear Factor. That's probably got kicked off of Fear Factor, honestly, because those days. That was a long time.
And so basically, what this is a petition that we saw of him narrating. Is that like the right term? I guess.
Not moderating.
Thank you.
Yeah. Controlling the action.
Of the presidential debate in 2020.
Asking the questions. Yeah.
And about 7,500 people have signed it, and although I don't think that they'll let him.
Well, and that's the thing, man. Like, especially because everything he stands for, and this thing made some good points. It talked about this article right here. It talked about. So I'm gonna read this through real quick, if you don't mind.
No, of course. What the petition actually says.
This is what the petition says. It says, we're petitioning the Commission on the Presidential Debates to elect Joe Rogan as one of the moderators for the 2020 presidential debate. Here are the reasons we believe this will be a good decision. Number one, Joe Rogan is a widely respected host who has hosted interviews with politicians, economists, scientists, and other popular figures who come from all walks of life. Number two, Joe Rogan has experience interviewing both progressive and conservative thinkers, figures such as Andrew Yang, Democrat, Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat, Kyle Kulinski, Democrat, Gary Johnson,
Libertarian,
thank you, Benjamin Shapiro, Republican, Candace Owens, Republican, have all appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience program. I think that's a huge point to make. He's comfortable with talking to these people. All people of all parties, he's okay with talking about it.
And being respectful.
And the other thing is, I think, when you talk about something like political debate, I don't think a lot of news channels and political spectrums, so to speak, think about marketing. Because as an American public, politics is boring because politics is boring. But they don't do enough to be like, how can we engage our voters? How can we bring in people
Right.
that, you know what I mean?
And
so you need to get the Cardis. You need to
Exactly.
get the Drakes. You need to get these people. And you need to get the Joe Rogans who has millions upon millions of listeners who will tune into a debate because they know he's there.
And I think to even expand on that is that he has such a wide audience.
Yeah, for sure.
So from young people who know him from UFC,
Yep.
and then older people who know him from like the Fear
Factor,
Factor. Like
right.
my mom knows him from the fucking
Yeah,
Fear
that's
Factor,
how
right?
I learned.
Right?
When I learned that he was doing all this other stuff in MMA, it's all like, what, the same dude? I didn't know that was the same guy.
And so
Yeah.
I think he has such a wide audience that I think that they would have more viewership because, like I said, I don't watch the presidential debate.
No one does.
I will tune in or I'll read highlights on Yahoo or even like,
Right.
and I think some of these people who do moderate it are swayed to one side. They don't have that objective overview, of course, because not everyone can be objective.
Joe Rogan also has the, if you listen to his podcast, he's extremely objective. And he's not like, he doesn't get rattled when he disagrees with people, and he doesn't like slander them for it. He's just very right in the middle. Yeah,
he
he's
can be
the
like,
perfect,
oh, I
perfect
can understand why
Yeah.
you feel that way, or hey, like I think that's shitty because X, Y, Z, and it's not because of his feelings. He can literally like go on and on about this is why.
Yeah,
it's
he's a
not
smart
because
guy.
oh, I feel like you're wrong and you're an asshole. It's like
Right.
because X, Y, Z does X, Y, Z or whatever. So go on.
He's
Sorry.
extremely intelligent.
3.
And the last one was Joe Rogan has an audience containing viewers from all areas of the political spectrum. Joe Rogan is not registered under any political party, which is very important as well. No bias, and is well known for having civil, productive, and interesting conversations about political issues without partisan bias. I mean, I think it's excellent. I think, I think you have to think of ways to be creative with things that are boring. It's like what teachers have to do with knowledge for these kids. They're boring. You got to make it fun for them, and this is a way to do it.
And know that not everyone understands what's happening at a presidential debate. Like, yeah, we can all listen to what they're saying, but do we actually know what that means? And I feel like he could probably break it down a little bit better.
He does that well on the show.
He does, and I also think that he can cut tensions because it gets very like tension driven, and it makes it uncomfortable. And you're like, well, shit, I don't understand what they're saying. B, they're just going at each other and they're talking circles. I think he could bring that back and be like, what are you actually saying? And do it respectfully.
And what would they have to lose by trying it? You know, it is absolutely, so it doesn't work. Okay, don't do it next time.
Well, guess what?
It's
not working now. So.
Right. It's a very simple thing. We just won't do it again. So I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
We just hit an hour and 45 seconds.
So what is your favorite topic that we talked about today?
My favorite topic, I think and it had to be a topic.
No, it could be a video.
Running
We're
around
gonna
with his,
make it
with
a
his
video
jaws
with his
swinging.
schlong font.
That was by
Slinging.
far. I really liked the Cardi thing. And the more I thought about it, so I told you like before, when I found that video, I'm like, Cardi's speaking voice just But it's dope, man. To be so young, to be so successful, and to make
confident.
that, and to not be afraid of, because a lot of these celebrities, man, they're full of shit. They will be like, oh, I believe in this, and this. When it comes to politics, they always want to take.
They climb up.
Yeah, and they don't
say
ever
shit.
want to speak out. And she's doing some stuff, man. I think it's, and honestly, just because I'm a right down the middle person as well, I would love to see that happen on the Republican side too. Forget. Maybe not Tommy Lawrence, everybody hates her. But find somebody
She
who
does
isn't-
not. I think we have to find someone who speaks facts and
somebody who isn't just despicable.
who doesn't say terrible things like, "Oh, if women don't want to be raped, then they shouldn't wear that shit."
Right. But I would love to see that become more of a thing, that young, intelligent people who actually care about the community get with their political leaders and they talk to them. I think that's really great.
I agree. I think I didn't like the guy running around with his dick hanging out.
I just know how far he got. Because even people fully clothed that go down in the first little obstacle.
Right, with the little jumping
Right.
jacks. He went all the way through.
He
up
was
to the,
a beast.
I think my favorite thing that we talked about is, not my favorite thing. I do love the Jay-Z story because I really do. I think my biggest, yes, my biggest fear. And if, obviously because of you and you're black and I love you with all my heart.
I am.
Yeah. If you didn't know, now you do. He's Puerto Rican. He's Dominican. He'll tell you that.
Islands.
But I think my biggest fear is something happening to you because you are black and mind you, this dude has never had a speeding ticket. He's never had any altercations.
I stay out of trouble. I flow underneath the radar as much as I can.
And it really scares me. And so the social change, and even with Cardi B, I think that also feeds into it. The social change for that needs to happen. And if we should have, my kids are biracial, right? I'm Mexican, I'm white. My kids are Mexican and white. My kids are Mexican and black and white. Like, it really scares me that we have a world that is just so bigoted and your race, or so focused on your race rather than the human being that you are.
I will say that though, that's on the way out. I honestly think Donald Trump has been a swan song for that.
Absolutely.
I think that like a supernova, that's the brightest point of a star,
and then it burns out.
Exploding. Right. And that's what I think we've reached. I think we've reached a crescendo on racism and hatred. And I think Donald Trump is pushing all of the old heads
out.
Yeah, and the world is seeing it going.
And I think that's what what's so amazing. Not to keep this any longer, I think, but. With Cardi B talking about things is I feel like that's so good because you have someone who is young and who is of the culture and who isn't white.
Sorry, bro, I think we need to do this live. I'm gonna let you finish. I really do because we got people giving
us. Go on. But she is talking to someone who is much older and who is white and who is of a very, very different generation who agrees with that isn't okay. And so I like I said, I think those speak out to me the most. And
it is dope. Yeah, those are dope. I think this was a great show, and you can catch us on Anchor.fm if you just want to do the listening portion if you're in your car and don't have access to the YouTubes.
Or if you want to go on YouTube and you can watch our new YouTube channel. It's called ESMR Revengers. Kind of making fun of Thor and Rocket.
Yeah, I gave a whole.
Talking about Thor.
I gave a whole in the live. I gave a whole break. Yeah, because Sauce in the Beach Shot Sauce. He was like, "What does that mean?" And then I moved and I pointed to that, and then I explained it.
Entertainment, sleep, music, repeat.
Yes.
Kind of the things that we live by because we do read a lot, and we kind of. Obviously we both listen to music a ton, and that's just something that we do on the daily. But yeah, so if you want to catch us there, or you can catch me on Instagram only at Anweezy, ANWEEZYYY.
You just specify that as only that. You can just say
only that. Well, because you go on Twitter and I'm not on Twitter.
That's okay. You can go to Twitter. And you catch me at Meryl Productions on Instagram and at Meryl Product 1 on Twitter. And if you enjoyed this, please leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, tell us what you want to talk about next. If you find videos out there of things that you think are interesting that we should speak on, please let us know. We'll do it.
You can send it to our Gmail, which is esmr0775@gmail.com.
I'll put that in the description as well.
And if you think that we're wrong in anything, or you want to point out something different, or even to add on, just let us know, and we'll be happy to read that in kind of our corrections corner next week. So
I haven't eaten all day. It's 2:00.
And we had a 12-hour workout this morning.
So I'm dying, but I got through it.
Yeah.
Peace and love. Catch us on the channel ESMR Revengers.
Bye.